Welcome back. We have processed our mountain goat off of the hide, rolled it off after it got ashed and sat for a few days. Now we've got this beautiful stuff that needs to be de-guard haired, right? We want to pull off the guard hairs. De-guard haired, that is not a word. We're going to pull out the guard hairs and we're going to wash it. You would go to your sink, get some water, get it not too hot because you don't want to felt the cute little furs, all the softy wools. And then you're going to pull it off and submerge it in the water. Again, I don't want to agitate it too much. I'm just getting it washed off, just getting some of that ash off of there. I'm going to soak it in there, pull some more off and soak it in there. I'm going to let the water cool, like just going to wash it until it cools. And then you can see there's all these guard hairs in here. Just really letting it soak in the water and washing it. If you want to do a tiny splash of like liquid ivory soap, you can do that, but you want to be careful not to use anything strong like Dawn or Joy that really cuts grease, because you're going to change the natural oils in the wool itself, in the mountain goat hair. So we can put this to the side. We'll pull this out when it's ready, lay it flat on a nice towel or a cookie sheet drying rack, let it fully air dry, and then we'll move on to pulling guard hairs out. So let's do that. We've got it washed a bit and we want to start pulling out all the all the longer guard hairs here. We're going to just hold the fluffy parts down at the bottom and gently start pulling out the guard hairs, because this is going to make, when we start spinning, this is going to make it pretty tough. It's not going to give as much when we're spinning, right? So we want to pull out all those gorgeous hairs. And I don't know what we're going to do with this. We might leave it out in the woods for the birdies to come and pick up and make nests out of. We might twist it up and make something really cute out of it, but we're going to make piles and piles of guard hairs. So go along through your goat hair and pull out the guard hairs. I'm going to do that all the way through. And pretty soon, after hours and hours and hours, we're going to have some fluffy stuff that we can card and begin to spin. So going along. I want to be careful not to pull out any of this really nice fluffy stuff. So kind of going right for the single hairs at a time when it gets down to that point. And it becomes a little tricky to see which one's which, right? There we go. All right, getting there. If you find any leftover little burrs, little sticks and things, you can pull those out too. Looking good. Okay. You can see why this would be a fun activity to do with your kids and your nieces and your brothers and your nephews, because this is pretty laborious, right? Quite involved. We couldn't imagine a single person doing this by themselves, right? This would definitely be a community activity, like sitting around listening to stories or telling each other stories. Or maybe it would be the punishment activity for whoever didn't eat their dinner. I don't know. Just kidding. We don't want to use mountain goat processing as punishment. That would be sad, because this is fun. Okay, so once we have a section that is pretty empty of guard hairs, we can move to the next activity. So many little steps, right? Okay, so let's take a volume of our fluffy stuff and bring it over to the carder. We can card our mountain goat. we're going to use our little carder to kind of straighten out all of our fibers together. Before loading in a whole fluffy handful of this, I want to take my smaller little comb and flick it a little bit just to give it a little bit more space, and so that I'm not trying to put a whole clump of this in at once. So we're going to flick this, give it some air, so that if I just give it the whole thing, it's going to be pretty tough to turn. So I'm even using my fingers, but we can flick that out. Okay. So first run, we're just gonna put a little bit of this in. So holding it here in my left hand, then we're gonna turn this way and start letting it get caught by the small wheel here. You don't want too much to go in the first turn. Ooh, it's getting sucked in. I'm kind of putting some here and then going across the whole way this way so that there's not a whole volume just in the center of it. So fun, it's going round and round. We're gonna add a little bit more. Let's see, I wanna kind of fill in the spots over here. That's like ASMR. So fun. Okay, maybe a few more here. That is really satisfying. And all the little like micro pieces of like fluffy debris and everything else in some of these guard hairs are just gonna be so easy to pick out of here. That's amazing. I'm gonna pull a little bit of this off of here and see if it can go transfer over to the bigger one. So let's see if that'll go back in. Whew. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Feeling good? You want to see what it looks like? We're going to lift off the fibers. Oh, they're so nicely lined up. And then come from this side. Can't wait to spin this. Okay, we're gonna let it break off just a little bit, gently pulling. What a bunch of magic fluff. Okay, so just gonna go on in stages with our screwdriver and lift. Okay, once you hit critical mass, you can kind of pull and it'll come out. And anytime it starts getting stuck, go back and lift. And there we are, pulling off all of the fluff. So beautiful. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, we did it. We're making some, Oh, and then I want to separate this. I'm going to go right to it and separate it down into little roving bundles like this. So this will make it a lot easier to spin later. I'm going to drape that on my shoulder for a second, but just really thinning it out. That's what I want to do, so that I can just make it happy spinning later. Okay, then I would drape these, get those going, get another one off of here. Like bunch it, but then separate it. Let's see. Okay, and then do this. Get another little bundle of it. Like this. Oh, they're so nicely lined up. Okay, go this way. The fun part about this is that there's still a little bit of debris in it, and that's going to be like an edible treat for all the little bugs that try to eat our weavings, right? A little organic matter inside all of the fiber. So fun. Oh, I wish you could feel this. It is so fluffy. It's a lot of happy right here. Okay, same. And pretty soon you're gonna have a whole series of these little nicely split pieces ready to be spun, kind of evening out. So it's not, I'm doing this with the intent that I don't have to adjust this again later, or just gently pull on it, or maybe split it in half again. And you can take your whole strand, kind of give it a little crisscross like this. Now I have a little bundle ready to be used. Right? If you're not going to spin it right away. Otherwise you can just drape it over the back of a chair and be ready to go. So as you go on and on, you'll come up with these beautiful roving strips that, again, you can either split in half and spin it right into a perfect 10 EPI, or ends per inch, right? So you can break this down. And of course, for Chilkat weaving, we'd want to put this with a strip of cedar or two. There we go. Perfect. Splitting that down. Woo. Kind of like splitting cedar. Yep. Okay. Awesome. And again, if you want to make a little figure 8 of these so that you have a bundle of them ready to go, you can do that. Spiral this guy around like this. Yep, little bundles. I'm going to sit them right there just for a second, and then do the same thing to this guy. Make sure that it's nice and crisscrossed. Dooch. Oh, leave a nice tail. Bundle it around. And those are ready to be stored for later use and spun into perfect warp for making blankets. Yay!